3 a.m. shocking truth. What my son-in-law said made me realize I'm no loser after all. The clock struck 3, its haunting chime echoing through the darkened house, a sound that cut deeper than a blade. It was the witching hour, a time when secrets lurked in every shadow and even the bravest among us felt a tremble in their bones. That's when John, my son-in-law, came crashing into the living room, his eyes wide with something I couldn't quite place. Fear? Excitement? Maybe both. You need to hear this, he gasped, words tumbling out like marbles spilled from a jar. Rattling my heart, he had stumbled upon some wild truth, something that clawed at the back of my mind, beckoning me to ponder, to question everything I thought I knew. I leaned in, desperate for detail as my mind raced. What did you find? My voice shook as I fought against the tightness in my chest. He clutched a crumpled piece of paper, like it was a treasure map leading to buried secrets. It's about our family. About you. My heart thudded harder. My mind tossed between dread and anticipation. The room felt colder, shadows lengthening around us. I couldn't breathe. Did it involve my past? A family scandal long buried beneath layers of false confidence? I had to know that. As he unfurled the paper, a musty smell wafted through the air, like the forgotten dust of a long-lost time. I stared. This wasn't just any note. It was a list of names, many I recognized, some I didn't. Each name bore an identity given by frail hands that once clung to life with desperate hope. But one name stood out, burned into my mind like a brand: my father. It brought forth a wave of memories, good, bad, all colliding in a painful whirl. John shifted in his seat, uncertainty flickering across his face. Your dad. He wasn't who you think he was. Suddenly, the tension grew thick enough to cut with a knife. How was that even possible? Everything I believed about my own father was collapsing like a house of cards. I could barely handle it. What if it were true? Before I could gather my thoughts, John leaned in closer, lowering his voice. You might want to buckle up for this. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. That revelation hung in the air, thick as smoke. I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. What do you mean? What did you find? I demanded, the urgency spilling from my lips. The clock ticked in the background, drowning out my racing thoughts. I was spinning, breathless with dread and anticipation, as if standing on the precipice of disaster. John's hands trembled as he pointed to details on the paper. There were details. Hidden from everyone. Secrets, debts. You wouldn't believe. His voice faded, kept in check by an unseen force. Outside, the wind howled, sending shivers racing down my spine. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, but I felt anchored, unable to escape the gravitational pull of his words. What if this truth had the power to shatter not just my memories, but the very ground I stood on? I needed answers. I needed to know what lay buried beneath the weight of my father's legacy. As I leaned closer to the note, my heart raced. The next revelation could change everything. What was buried in those names? And was I ready to face the truth? The tension in the room thickened, wrapping around me like a vice. I tried to read the names again, but they blurred into a jumble, swirling on the page. I could hear my heart hammering, a primal rhythm deep inside that begged for clarity amid the chaos. John, I whispered, barely managing to speak. What do you mean he wasn't who I thought he was? What did you find? He took a breath, his eyes locked onto mine. Your father was involved in some shady stuff. I found papers. There's talk of money, debts owed, and transactions that. He hesitated, glancing back at the paper, as if it might spring to life and snatch away whatever words he wanted to say. Tell me, I urged, a desperate note slipping into my voice. I was ready for answers, no matter how painful. What kind of transactions? Illegal one, stuff we only see in movies. He swallowed hard, his voice barely audible over the wailing wind outside. He had debts connected to organized crime. They weren't just chasing him for money. They were hunting for something far worse. I felt the ground beneath me tremble, reality bending in odd angles. The father I had revered, my steadfast guiding star, was suddenly at the heart of darkness. How could this be? My life was a reflection of his values, and now they were painted with shades I could hardly comprehend. No, this can't be right. I shook my head, willing the world to make sense again. You must have it wrong. He was just a hard worker, always honest. Working at the factory, providing for the family. John scowled, frustration swimming in his eyes. But there's proof. I have documents. There's a reason your mother never spoke of him after. His voice trailed off, the weight of the word, after filling the air with an unspeakable dread. After what? I pressed, and even I could hear the quiver in my tone. After he disappeared. She always brushed off questions. I thought maybe it was just grief, but now I think his voice faltered. I think she was protecting you. Protecting all of us. My chest tightened and I felt a lump form in my throat. The memories of my father's laughter, his warm embrace, crumbled into dust. Those shards became a stinging haze as John revealed names associated with whispered horrors. Men I didn't recognize, words like hit and contract woven into my reality as if the fabric of my life had been a carefully stitched mask. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I struggled to keep my voice steady. Why burden me with this now? Because I was scared, he confessed. I didn't think it would lead to anywhere worth sharing. But the truth has a way of catching up, doesn't it? The wind howled outside, each gust a reminder of the storm brewing within. I felt exposed, like one of those names could leap off the page and drag me into a nightmare I wasn't ready for. This isn't just about you know, John continued, his voice firming up. This is also about us. Your family. We could be at risk if we don't act. There are shadows lurking, wanting what your father took. The room went eerily silent, only the clock ticking ominously, each tick already echoing my hopelessness. Could I really engage with this monstrous legacy? With shaky hands I reached for the list, heart racing as my fingers tingled with anxious energy. What do we do now? But just as I peered closer at those damning names, my phone erupted into life, the screen flashing a number that felt all too familiar. The unexpected ring sent chills racing down my spine, and I knew deep down that this call could change everything once more. I fumbled for my phone, hands trembling, and stared at the screen. It showed a number I recognized, one I had tried to forget. My pulse quickened, a racing drum echoing in my ears. Picking it up felt like a leap into the unknown. The temptation to let it ring was strong, but an inexplicable pull urged me forward. Answer it, John urged, his voice a whisper taut with unease. He leaned closer, his eyes fixed on me like a hawk sizing up its prey, swallowing my fear. I tapped the screen to answer. Hello? My voice sounded foreign, shaky and thin. There was silence on the other end, a stifling pause that stretched into eternity. Just when I thought they would hang up, a voice broke the stillness, low and gravelly. You should have listened to your mother, it said, each word dripping with menace. You don't know what you're in for. A chill crawled down my spine. Who is this? I demanded, but my bravado cracked under the weight of that voice. Let us just say I know more about your father than you'd like. Or than you'd ever want to. The voice paused, giving me a chance to absorb the threat. You think digging into the past will keep you safe? It's only opening doors you can't close. Stay away from me, I managed, though the words tasted bitter on my tongue. They felt weak, teetering on the brink of defeat. But the voice only chuckled, a sound that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. You can't just walk away. Not after everything he did. You've caught the attention of people who will kill to keep their secrets. You're playing with fire, kid. I shot a glance at John, who was now as pale as a ghost. His usual bravado abandoned him, replaced by a look of sheer terror. Who are you? I pressed, feeling incredibly small. What do you want? The sinister laughter echoed in response. You've got one chance. Meet me tomorrow night at the old pier. And come alone. If you don't, well, let us just say your life and your family's will become a very real nightmare. That last line struck like a hammer, a cataclysmic roar mixed with fear. My heart echoed in my ears, drowning out everything else. Wait, I shouted into the now silent line. But I was met with the ominous click of disconnection. Who was that? John's voice trembled. a note of genuine fear woven into his words. I don't know, I breathed, my mind racing with possibilities. They didn't give their name. But they know things that could put us all in danger. John moved closer, urgency radiating from him. We need to tell your mom. She might know who this is. No. I felt a surge of protective instinct. I don't want her to worry. She has already been through too much. But this is dangerous. You don't know what you're up against. He shook his head, frustration mounting. You're not alone in this, and pretending you are will only lead to disaster. Maybe I faltered, torn between wanting to maintain my mother's calm and the realization of reality knocking at my door. Maybe we have to follow the thread, see where it leads. John stepped back, his mind racing. If you meet them, you have to be careful. This isn't a game. You'll need backup. The gravity of the situation crashed down on me. How did I even get here? One phone call had unraveled everything I thought I knew about my life, my family. I took a deep breath, staring at the wall behind him, its shadows growing longer as the sun dipped. I have to do this. I have to know what happened to my father. But I need your help. As the cold seeped into the room, and the wind howled, I recognized the enormity of the decision ahead. Would I uncover the truth or unleash a storm that would shatter everything? When the door creaked open, allowing a gust of icy air to swirl in, a figure stood illuminated in the threshold. It was a silhouette I couldn't quite recognize. Do you have a minute? They asked, their voice steady but with an undercurrent of something I couldn't read. My heart raced again. Who was this new player in this gruesome game? And how would they fit into my twisted reality? The night had only just begun. I stared at the figure in the doorway, my pulse quickening again, the warmth of the room feeling like it was suddenly sucked away. Shadows danced around them, and even though I couldn't make out their features clearly, something about this person felt wrong. Who are you? I managed to whisper, my voice barely escaping my throat. The stranger took a step forward. The dim light caught the edge of their face, revealing sharp lines and a piercing gaze that felt like a knife to my gut. I'm someone who knows your father. The one you're trying to uncover. My breath hitched. What do you know about him? More than you understand, they replied, a smirk creeping onto their lips. And it would be wise to listen, considering what just went down with that call. John shuffled closer, a low growl of protectiveness rumbling in his throat. Get out of here. We don't know you. Let me in, the figure said, unfazed by John's threat. You might want to hear what I have to say before putting up those walls. Against my better judgment, I stepped aside. A mix of curiosity and dread gnawed at me as the stranger slipped past. The door clicked shut and the air grew thick with tension. What's this about? I demanded, my voice trembling with urgency. I didn't like the stranger's confidence, nor the way they carried an unsettling familiarity with the darkness surrounding my father. The figure leaned against the wall, arms crossed, and surveyed us like a predator deciding how to approach its next meal. Your father had enemies, and they haven't forgotten him or you. What does that mean? I pressed, feeling vulnerable, teetering on the edge of something dangerous. The same people who threatened you during that phone call. They're not just going to let the past be. You're that loose thread they want to snip before it unravels everything. The words were chilling, freezing me in place. They'll come for you. All you have left is the choice of how to face them. This isn't our game to play, John interjected, anxiety spilling from his voice. What do you really want? To warn you, the figure shot back, their tone dropping an octave. You need to prepare and make your move. You can't walk into the pier without a plan. There's a lot at stake for every move you make. What do I have to do? The question felt heavy in the air. Each moment was weighing down on me like a storm waiting to explode. The stranger reached into their pocket and produced a small bronze key. You're searching for answers, right? This will help you get access to something important. Follow the clues and maybe, just maybe, you'll get what you came for. I hesitated, eyeing the key as if it might bite. What's it for? Consider it a passage into the past, they replied cryptically. But be careful, the truth can be more dangerous than the lies you think you know. Glancing at John, I felt an explosion of emotions churn inside me. I was caught between wanting to take the key and the fear grating at my gut. What's the catch? There's always a catch, the figure told me, their eyes narrowing. You either risk everything or walk away. But if you walk away, you'll never find peace. The choice is yours. A cold wave of dread washed over me as I contemplated the weight of their words. While I considered, the walls of the dim room seemed to pulse with anticipation. And then that knock came again, insistent, heavy, and unmistakably threatening. It sent chills racing down my spine that I had to make a decision. Was I ready to unlock the plight of my family and embrace the storm that was brewing? As I grasped the key, the knock echoed louder, chilling the air around me. Who were those at the door? And would revelation be enough to save us? I felt a surge of adrenaline as I tightened my grip around the key. The weight of it seemed to amplify my heart's frantic beating. It was as though it was alive, humming with secrets waiting to be unlocked. Another knock thundered against the door, reverberating through my bones. My eyes darted between John and the stranger. John's brow was furrowed, his fists clenched, ready to confront whatever threat approached. The stranger remained calm, a disconcerting smile dancing on their lips as if they were waiting for this moment. "Open up!" A voice roared from the outside. It was deep and gravelly, the kind that had the power to instill fear. "We know you're in there." I exchanged a glance with John. His worry matched the dread curling in my stomach. "Who are they?" I whispered, my voice shaking. The figure's smile faded slightly. "Enemies. The ones I warned you about. They aren't here for a casual chat, I assure you." A pounding surge of panic made my chest tighten. Was it too late to back out? The thought flashed through my mind like a neon sign. But the key felt too heavy with potential, with the promise of revelation and danger intertwined. "Keep quiet," John hissed, moving defensively in front of me. The knocking stopped, replaced now by silence, a heavy, suffocating silence that felt charged with foreboding. I held my breath. Each second stretched painfully long. Then came a soft scrape against the wood, and I could almost feel the weight of the intruders as they shifted outside, likely trying to find another way in. My heart raced like a runaway train, pulsing in my ears, drowning out all reason. "Stay back," I murmured, stepping slightly away from John toward the stranger. Something about their calmness was unnerving and oddly reassuring at the same time. "What do I do?" "Trust your instincts," they replied softly, their voice cooler now, sharper. "You have the key. Use it to decide your fate." The door trembled as something heavy struck it again from the outside. Then more shouting erupted. "We're coming in. You have two choices. Open this door or we'll break it down." Fear coiled tight inside me, but the moment shifted. I caught John's worried glance, and behind it, there was something unyielding, a determination that mirrored my own resolve. I couldn't just stand by. I had to confront whatever lay on the other side. "Now!" I shouted, feeling reckless and terrified all at once. "We can't wait for them to come in here. If this key is our ticket, let us figure out where it leads." The stranger raised an eyebrow, impressed yet slightly bemused. I could feel the tremor in John's hand as he nodded, the instinct to protect me clashing with the need for action. "Fine. Where do we start?" John asked, his voice steadying. "The answer starts at the pier," the stranger said, glancing back at the door nervously. "But you won't be able to just walk there. They'll be looking for you." "Then we need a distraction," I said, my mind racing. "Something to buy us time." A crack splintered through the air as something heavy struck the door again, this time. A splinter flew toward us. In an instant I made a decision. I rushed toward the window, my heart pounding. "If we can't use the door, we'll use the window." John cursed, but I didn't look back. I yanked it open and the night air blasted in, cold and biting against my skin. "Come on," I called out, clutching the key tightly in my fist. Just as John climbed up, a loud crash resonated behind us as the door splintered open. The sound sent shockwaves of fear cascading through me, and I could almost hear the pulse of danger drawing nearer. With no time to lose, I leaped out into the darkness, taking the first steps into an unknown world of fear and urgency. What awaited us at the pier? And would the key unleash secrets or danger that could bind us for good? The chill of the night air stung my face as I landed on the gravel below, heart hammering like a wild drum. The darkness wrapped around me, a thick blanket hiding dangers I dared not imagine. I turned to see John tumble out just behind me, his focus darting back toward the house. The sound of splintering would echoed in my ears. The intruders were in. "Let us move," he urged, grabbing my arm. I nodded and together we sprinted away from the chaos, adrenaline fueling our flight. We could hear voices inside, the strangers shouting, their footsteps pounding against the floor. I had no idea where the pier was. I could barely keep track of our surroundings. The key felt heavy in my pocket, a lead weight of anticipation and dread. It was our lifeline, but what if it led us into deeper trouble? You remember the way? I yelled above the rush of blood in my ears, the panic rattling my chest. Just follow me, John replied, his expression hard with resolve. He pushed ahead, navigating through the shadows, and I stumbled behind him, my breath coming in quick gasps as we rounded a corner. My gaze caught a flicker of movement in the alley to our left. My heart stumbled. Was it them? I squinted but saw nothing. But the rustle of a trash can and a faint whisper bit into the air, igniting a primal fear within me. I refrained from calling out, instead clutching tighter at the key. Hold on, John said suddenly, stopping dead in his tracks. What is it? I whispered. The world felt strangely still, my pulse pounding in my throat. I think I heard something, he breathed, straining to listen. Before I could process his words, a figure emerged from the shadows ahead, a man, eyes wide, face pale, almost ghostly in the low light. You shouldn't be here, he hissed, glancing over his shoulder anxiously. What do you mean? Who are you? I demanded, my heart racing even faster now. I'm with them, he replied, lowering his voice. But I'm not like the others. I can help you, but you need to listen. The menacing shouts from the house were fading, replaced by the sound of footsteps echoing out into the night. Panic flared in my chest like a flame. What do we do? I asked, fighting the urge to run. Those men aren't just looking for you. They're looking for the key, he said, lowering his eyes to the ground. They'll do anything to get it. But you can't just run. You need a plan. John shot me a worried glance, his brows furrowing. What kind of plan? They have a trail, the man continued, brow furrowed in desperation. If you can figure out what that key unlocks, it might just save your lives. Dread knotted in my stomach. Do you know what the key is for? We don't have time, he urged. Get to the pier. But you must stay hidden. I'll distract them. Wait, I called out, but it was too late. He darted back into the darkness, vanishing like smoke. What do we do? John gripped my shoulder, his eyes wide. Follow him, I said, my heart pounded, every instinct screaming this was a mistake. We can't just let him go. Silence filled the alley, and the tension pressed down on us like gravity. A flash of light cut through the darkness, illuminating the entrance to the street. We had to make a choice. John's determination swelled as he breathed deeply. All right, let us find that pier. It can't be far. We took off again, the sound of pounding footsteps growing louder as we raced through the night, the key a burning reminder of everything we had to lose. Would whatever lay at the pier hold the answers we desperately sought? Or would it plunge us deeper into a nightmare we couldn't escape? Armed with fear and uncertainty, we sprinted into the unknown. The streets twisted under the moonlight, shadows flitting like ghosts around us as we ran. My legs burned, but the gnawing sense of being hunted pushed me on. Each corner we rounded felt like a leap into the unknown, the distant chatter of chaos from the house receding into the background. Do you really think we can trust that guy? John panted heavily, struggling to keep pace. His worry seeped into my thoughts, but I shook my head, trying to silence it. Trust? What did that even mean now? We veered into a narrow path, barely illuminated by the flickering street lamps. My heart lurched as I spotted a figure at the far end, lurking against a wall. John, I whispered urgently, pulling at his arm. But just as I did, the figure stepped forward, arms raised, hands empty. Whoa, easy there. The voice was clear but shaky, a woman, with wild eyes that shimmered with fear. Please don't run. I just want to talk. Her vulnerability made my stomach twist. You're not one of them? I questioned, neck prickling with suspicion. No, she said, glancing nervously over her shoulder. They're searching for you. And for the key. How do you know about the key? John interrupted, his voice steady but dangerous. I heard them, she breathed, hands lowering. I overheard their conversation. They think it leads to something big. Something powerful. Powerful. The word ricocheted in my mind. What could be so significant it prompted this manhunt? But even as she spoke, I could hear muffled shouts in the distance, gaining ground. Your time is running out, she said, urgency coloring her tone. You need to find the pier. It's the last hope. Another twist, the universe enjoyed dark turns tonight. What's at the pier? I demanded. She hesitated, fear tainting her expression. A boat. Something that can take you away from here. But it's not just a regular boat. The pieces of the puzzle might be there. John exchanged glances with me, his face set in determination. Are you really going to help us? I'm taking a risk for you, aren't I? She was getting fidgety, glancing around like a deer caught in headlights. Before we could respond, the rumbling of footsteps grew harsh, punctuated by the gruff shouts of the pursuers closing in the distance. The woman's eyes widened. You need to go now. If they find you here, where do we go? I shouted, my anxiety surging. Down the path, take the left by the old warehouse. Just keep running. With a final nod, we sprinted away, my breath setting a frantic tempo. John pulled ahead, a streak of focus in the scattering shadows. But something gnawed at my insides. Questions spiraled like wild storms. Who was that woman, really? And what was at the pier beyond mere escape? As we stumbled through the underbrush, I could feel the cold tendrils of panic surrounding us. I gripped the key tighter, its cool metal grounding me. I had to believe it would unlock something that could change everything. But could it also unlock a door we were not prepared to face? The warehouse loomed ahead, a hulking silhouette against the moon, its dark windows like watchful eyes. We rounded the corner, breathless, and froze. A hulking figure suddenly emerged at the entrance, backlit by a flickering bulb. It blocked our only way forward. What now? My heart pounded deafeningly in my ears. Run! Just run! John shouted, and we barreled forward, fleeing into a nightmare that felt as close as our own breaths. What awaited us inside that warehouse? Every instinct screamed for us to turn around, yet something deeper urged us on. Would we find a path to safety or a deeper snare that would seal our fate? The moment we rushed inside the warehouse, the overwhelming musty air hit us like a wall. Shadows danced wildly against the rusty walls, our breathing the only sound slicing through the encroaching silence. I glanced at John, his eyes wide and frantic, the weight of the unknown pressing down on both of us. Where do we even go now? I whispered, panting. The darkness felt alive, like it could reach out and snatch us away. Look for a way out, he urged, his voice cutting through the haze of fear. The flickering lights above made it hard to focus, our surroundings warping as panic clouded our minds. Together we dashed deeper into the cavernous space. Metal crates lined the walls, some toppled, others piled high as if abandoned mid-work. I could feel the sweat pooling in my palms, slick against the key I held. Over there. John pointed toward a side door, discolored and curling at the edges. Hope surged, but it was short-lived. Just as we reached it, ominous noises echoed in the distance. They were close now, heavy footsteps, like a marching band of doom. Go! I screamed as I flung open the door. It protested, creaking as we tumbled through. Inside, whispers and the faint sound of waves crested in the background, almost mocking. Just ahead lay another flickering light, revealing a dimly lit stairwell spiraling downward. It's our only chance, I urged as John nodded fiercely. We took the steps two at a time, plunging into the cramped corridor. Each step felt weighted with dread, the murmurs of our pursuers trailing behind us. My heart raced, each beat a countdown to a fate unknown. Halfway down, my feet caught on something. I stumbled, nearly crashing to the earth. What? John snapped in hushed urgency. I looked up, breathless, realizing I'd tripped over what seemed to be an old toolbox. Just a damn toolbox. I spat, annoyance coursing through me. I pushed it aside, darting farther down. But something glinted in the dimness, a small piece of metal, embedded in the dusty floorboards. Wait! I grabbed John's arm. Look at this. He hesitated, peering at the metal shard. What is it? I lifted it cautiously, feeling the smooth surface beneath my fingertips. I don't know. A bolt? Whatever it is, it might help us. The doorway at the bottom of the stairwell loomed large, but the whispers grew louder, solidifying into solid danger. We can't stay here, John urged, eyes darting nervously. Right. I shoved the shard in my pocket, resolve hardening. We reached the door, pushing it open into another dim space, this one even more foreboding. The salty air hit us square in the face, and I turned to the sound of waves crashing against the dock outside. We were close. But to what? Glancing around, I realized the room was a setup, clearly used for something sinister, a place where secrets were kept. Look, John pointed out the window toward the pier, a ghostly silhouette against the night sky. We need to get there now. Suddenly, shouting erupted from above, heavy boots pounding down the stairs we had just traversed. My chest seized. They're coming. Without thinking, we bolted toward the back exit. What lay ahead was a rooftop catwalk overlooking the pier. We appeared to be running out of options. And yet, the whispers, now sharper and clearer, echoed in my mind. They're looking for the key. And something else. The woman's words returned, twisting in my stomach. What was hidden there? As we stepped uncertainly onto the narrow catwalk, a thought hit me like a punch. Would we find what we needed, or would we be setting ourselves up for a trap so expertly laid we'd never escape? An unseen presence loomed from behind, pressing us forward. Keep moving, John yelled, eyes wild in the flickering light. We had to take the leap into unknown peril. Could we reach the pier before they caught up with us? Could whatever was waiting out there, a boat, a truth, or worse, be our salvation or demise? The weight of the night felt more oppressive than ever as we advanced, our hearts pounding against the fear clawing at our backs, demanding to know, would we find hope or despair? Waiting at the end of the dock? The catwalk creaked ominously beneath our weight as we moved toward the edge. I could feel the spray of the sea swirling up towards us, a cold reminder that danger lurked in every shadow. The calm surface of the water below belied the chaos unraveling above. Shadows shifted in the dark behind us, and I risked a glance back. Faster, John urged, and I pressed my legs harder, adrenaline fueling each step. The sound of footsteps pounded louder, each beat reverberating through the steel beams and into my bones. We scrambled forward, heartbeats echoing like thunder in my ears. The edge of the catwalk. I tried to gauge how far we were from the boat. The moonlight glinted off its hull, but it seemed a world away. I could just make out silhouettes moving along the dock, merging in a dance of menace, anxious faces fixated on our escape. Are you sure that boat is ours? I shouted over the rush of the wind that screamed through the tight space. It's the only option, John replied, breathless. He turned to me, eyes wide with urgency. We can't let them catch us here, we have to jump. My stomach clenched. Jump? It's too far. Do you want to die up here? The desperation in his voice snapped me into focus. I could feel them closing in, the whispers morphing into taunts, each one carrying a mix of threats and promises. Okay, on three, I shouted, mentally shaking off the doubts. 1, 2, 3. We leaped. Time twisted around us as we soared through the air. My heart was in my throat, crashing against my ribs, and for a split second, I believed we'd defy gravity entirely. But impact came hard and fierce as we crashed onto the deck of the boat. Pain shot through my limbs, a harsh reminder of the danger we'd thrown ourselves into. I scrambled to my feet, heart racing with fear and confusion. I turned back, eyes scanning the pier, revealing John struggling to pull himself upright. Get up. They're coming, I shouted, urgency sharpened into a blade. He glanced back as a figure appeared at the edge of the dock, a hulking shadow, a stark silhouette against the lights behind him. My stomach dropped. Move. I yanked him up, and together we dove into the cabin of the boat, slamming the door behind us. The air inside was stale, filled with the scent of mold. We pressed our backs against the wall, breathless, listening intently as the footsteps thudded closer, pulses hammering over the cacophony of the waves below. The whispers seeped in through the cracks like poison. They mustn't find us. Did you see him? John whispered, eyes darting around the darkness. That was Lorenzo who? The question slipped out before I could hold it back. The name sent chills down my spine. The pieces were beginning to fall into place, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to know. He works for them. He was supposed to. His voice cut off as the sound of something heavy thudded on the deck above, anticipating our next move. We can't stay here, I insisted, glancing around. A window jarred slightly as the waves crashed violently, threatening to inundate our hiding spot. But my heart sank as I remembered the metal shard nestled in my pocket. What if he's looking for this? John's eyes widened, realization dawning. The key, maybe they're not just after it. Maybe it unlocks something more. The cabin door rattled violently. A hint of desperation lodged in the voice outside. You can't hide forever. You have something that belongs to us. Dark anticipation filled the air, pressing down like a lead weight. What if it really does unlock something? I murmured, dread settling into the pit of my stomach. Was it power? Was it danger? As the door creaked from the pressure outside, I knew we had to make a decision. Would we risk revealing what we held close? Or would we hold on, perhaps clinging to a sliver of hope we weren't ready to lose? With the shadows closing in and the whispers growing louder, one question lingered just beyond reach, pressing against our minds. What secret lay on the other side of that door? The tension in the boat cabin crackled like electricity. John and I exchanged frantic glances, the weight of a decision looming over us like storm clouds. The door rattled again, powerful hands on the other side, determined to drag us back into a nightmare we couldn't escape alone. I can't keep hiding, I said, voice quaking. What if this key truly is the answer? What if our very survival depends on it? No, John said, urgency threading through his voice. If we reveal ourselves too soon, the door rattled hard again, and a voice boomed from the other side, low and dangerous. You're running out of time. Think of your family. My breath hitched. They were onto us. They knew everything, who we were, what we were searching for. We can't let them take us back, John. Not again. He nodded tightly, his face set with determination, but I could see his fear gnawing at him like hunger. Heavy footsteps pounded on the deck above. I pressed my back harder against the wall, my hand clutching the key like a lifeline. It felt simultaneously heavy and liberating, warm in my grasp. Then I heard a faint sound just beyond the cabin door. We know you're in there. Show us the key and we might let you walk away. The voice promised darkness and despair wrapped in a silky tone that reeked of lies. What if we opened the door? John whispered, the idea forming as if it were alive, slithering into our minds. We might have a chance. Are you out of your mind? My heart raced, a constant drumroll of impending doom. But I could feel the pull of curiosity, the allure of breaking free from the chains of ignorance that bound me. What if the key truly did unlock more than just a door? What if it led to understanding my father's past, the truth buried in darkness? No, I shot back, my voice steadying. We can't just waltz into their trap. We need to find out what this key is for, if it's even safe. Then we have to outsmart them, John said, a glint of challenge igniting in his gaze. Think about it, if they want the key, we can use that to our advantage. We need to lure them away, then make our move. In that moment, clarity struck. You're right. What if we trick them? While they're distracted, we can escape. The footsteps thudded louder, nearing the cabin door. It was now or never. With a quick glance, I turned to the window, adrenaline heightening my senses. We'll climb out the window. If we're lucky, we'll be out before they ever know we're gone. I nodded sharply. It's time. John's breath hitched as I shoved open the cabin window, its creaking echoing through the air, harmonizing with the crashing waves below. Are you ready to jump out of the frying pan and into the fire? He smirked. Always. We climbed through, landing silently on the deck with barely a sound. The breeze curled around us, invigorating yet eerie. Shadows danced around, teasing our vision, as whispers erupted from above. We know you're not gone. Find them. We crouched behind boxes, scanning the dock, heartbeats racing as they moved back and forth, searching for our escape route. Now, John hissed, and we sprang forward into the darkness, ducking behind the stern of the boat, our eyes darting for the pier's dim light guiding us, illuminating our impossible choice. Which way? I whispered harshly. The left, John urged, pointing to a path barely illuminated by a flickering bulb. We sprinted towards it, the sound of our breaths mingling with the unsettling rhythm of the night. Shadows shifted again, but this time we were ready, diving into the tangled pathways, adrenaline fueling our every move. But then the clamor of footsteps grew serious again. Split up, John shouted just as our pursuers spotted us, heavy boots pounding after us. No way, I shouted back, panic rising in my throat. Just do it. We can meet at the end. I hesitated, my heart racing at the thought of being alone. What if now? He barked. With one last look at his fierce determination, I turned and ran. Each pounding footfall behind me echoed my racing heart, fueling the surge of fear that propelled me down the path. The world twisted into shadows and light as I sprinted through narrow alleyways, my breaths quickened and desperate. The pier just reached the pier. I kept telling myself. The air thickened, stinging my lungs with every breath. Just as I reached the last corner, a figure stepped out, blocking my path. I skidded to a stop, heart in my throat. "Who the hell are you?" I gasped, ready to bolt. "Someone you don't want to cross," the man growled, eyes narrowing. But before I could react, a loud voice broke through the tension. "Let them go." My heart leapt, recognizing the familiar sound. John surged forward, throwing himself into the fray. "No!" I yelled, desperate fear ripping through me. "Take her!" The stranger snapped, reaching for me. But in that moment, I remembered the metal shard, feeling it press against my side. I swung it wildly, aiming for the man, but the darkness swirled around us like a storm. The grip on my wrist tightened, then suddenly released as John tackled the stranger before me. "Run! Now!" he yelled, fighting with every ounce of strength. I didn't look back as I bolted past them, propelling myself toward the pier that beckoned like light at the end of a dark tunnel. There, the boat awaited our ride out of this mess. A glimmer of hope surged in my chest as I shouted John's name, the sound barely escaping my lips over the crash of the waves. But suddenly screams erupted behind me, a visceral chaos igniting the air. My heart pounded as I turned to see the shadows converging and racing down the path behind us. John was in trouble. No, he needed me. With renewed determination coursing through my veins, I screamed back, "John!" As I reached the ramp, I climbed aboard the boat. We needed to untie it, but before I could, I sensed movement beside me. "Get going!" I shouted at the boat's empty helm. Fingers fumbled with the ropes, adrenaline surging as John vaulted on board, breath hot with urgency. "Go!" I whirled around and started the engine. The machine roared to life, but my heart sank when ominous shadows began to emerge from the darkness, figures bearing down upon us. "Faster!" John shouted, his face taut with fear as he pulled out the weapon of our only chance, the key, its metal glinting in the dim light. "Just get us out of here." Panic surged through me as I looked at him, then back at the shadows advancing. My decision solidified, there was no turning back. Skip hesitation. I revved the engine, adrenaline crashing through my veins. With one hard shove, the boat lurched forward, splashing into the icy water, barely escaping the grasp of those who would steal everything away. The pier seemed to shrink behind us, figures blurred by the night. My heart raced in a mix of triumph and terror, navigating through the waves toward an uncertain future. "Did they get the key?" I shouted over the roar of the engine. "No, but they're not far behind. We need to make it to open water." John strained to inform me through the crashing noise. I turned, my grip tight and unwavering. "Hold on, John. This time we finish this together." With every ounce of courage, I surged us forward into the unknown. The darkness behind us faded, swallowed by the churning sea, a pulse of destiny pulling us toward something greater. A chance to uncover the truth. A chance to break free from the chains of the past. Though danger still loomed, there was strength in standing together against the ghosts of our family's history. As I piloted the boat deeper into the night, excitement and terror mingled, electrifying my spirit. We were ready for the truth, whatever awaited us. And with one cautious push forward, we would find out what lay just beyond the horizon. We were free, or at least we would soon be. But we had each other. And together, we would face whatever awaited us in the depths of those dark waters. You need to subscribe now to make sure you don't miss our next exclusive story. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm so our community can keep growing. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What do you think the key unlocks? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this conclusion. Your support makes everything possible.